Ferguson, these things like that, that brings it to our attention. We have these injustices. Some people can respond by peacefully marching in the street, using the motto of Dr. King to make a point, like, look, this is bad. We need to do something about it. Okay? Some people take to the street and they try to do all kinds of things to take advantage of the situation and let out their frustration by looting and robbing and breaking glass. But I learned something from my mom a long time ago, who, by the way, I think is a real boss. She said, son, sometimes you just gotta wait and be still and think before you act. And then develop a strategy for how you're gonna deal with the situation. And this was brought to my mind as a young man. I grew up in Chicago, and when I was 13, we moved to an all-white neighborhood, and the school I went to was in a black neighborhood, and the white neighborhood was a middle-class neighborhood. And I used to walk to school, and you know, these stories people say, I walked to school 12 miles, blah, 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 you know, barefoot and cold and shit. This is true. 12 blocks in southern green weather in Chicago. So I got my hood up, my hat on, 15 years old. And I'm walking. It's about 6:50, it's dark out. And I hear some crunching snow behind me on the ground. And I turn and look, it's a police car. The officer rolls up to me and he says, where are you going? I said, officer, I'm going to school. He said, this early? I said, yes, sir. They serve breakfast. See, what the officer didn't know was that for 50 cents, I could get 2 sausages and 3 pancakes, and my mama was doing it at home. I said, I'm going for breakfast. He said, dude, he said, what's your name? I said, Ruben May. He said, do you have an ID? Now, I'm getting a little frustrated because, like, I'm trying to do right. And I'm getting interrupted about my breakfast and everything else. So he says, can I see your ID? I said, officer, I have the ID. It's on my belly. He said, okay, you can get it. So I did my jacket up slowly. Don't want no confusion. I unclipped the ID and handed it to him. Now they're still sitting in the police cruiser, and he took the ID and passed it to his partner. He says, you know why we stopped you? I said, no sir, officer. He said, because a woman was raped in the park yesterday, and you fit the description of the rape. So you can imagine me, for my biblical people can understand this. I was 15 years old and ain't even had carnal knowledge yet. So when he said to me, you fit the description of rape, the first thing I said, no, what you talking about, officer? I ain't done nothing like that. He says, I didn't say you did. We're just gonna take your information down on a piece of paper, right? It's called a contact card, so if something comes up later on, they know where to find you. Now my mama always told me, try to get a badge number, try to get something. I was frustrated. The window was down, I couldn't see the badges, so I did the next best thing. I looked at the front of the car number 8412. Yeah, it's in there. They gave me an ID back, and I clicked it on, and for the next 6 blocks going to school, 8412, 8412, 8412. I get to school, go to the payphone, for y'all don't know about payphones, they were real. And you had to use coins. But I was so messed up, I took the coin and dropped it in, and I dialed it like this. Okay? My mother asked the phone, she said, son, what's wrong? I said, Mama, I just want you to know, I was stopped by the police. And they said, I fit the description of a rapist. She said, son, did they do anything else? Did they say anything else? I said, no, ma'am. She said, okay, son, have a wonderful day. She hung up the phone, I hung up the phone. Now, I'm messed up. because my 50 cent had to go to 25 cent had to go for a call. I can't get no breakfast. They do my whole day off, and I'm shaking. So like the rapper Rich Homie Quan would say, they had me feeling some type of way. So I go to school and I'm still trying to get my rhythm back, and I walk home. Now my mother never showed up home before me. But on this day, I'm sticking my key in the door, and my mother said, I can hear a voice. Here he comes now. I opened the door, closed it, kissed my mother and hugged her. She said, son, go in the living room. I turned 2 steps, and the 2 officers that had stopped me was sitting in my living room. They stood up and said, I'm Officer so-and-so, nice to meet you. I'm Officer so-and-so, nice to meet you. My mother said, now explain to me what was going on. Well, we were doing our job. This is what we have to do in order to understand. We're trying to catch people, blah, blah, blah. Then my mama said, now, I want that contact card torn up, because I know what my son is doing all the time. All the time. So when you have injustices or you feel like somebody's bothering you or worrying, sometimes you got to be still, wait, then come up with strategy, and then handle the situation. Because I can tell you something. Not only was I empowered by that, but I'm sure the officers were too. Because they got to understand you just can't treat people like any old kind of way. And it didn't cost nobody nothing except to understand that. So real bosses know if there's injustice, you got to figure out some kind of way to handle that perspective. Number 3, real bosses know the importance of education. Let me ask this question. How you going to be a leader of something and you don't know anything about that thing? Let me spin it to you like this. How you going to run something and you don't know nothing? See, education is important. We need to understand the importance of education, and we need to strive all the time with this education. We need to keep, quote unquote, our education on fleek. My young people know what I'm talking about. Parents and educators. It is important for you to understand and realize you must have expectations for young people, even when they struggle. Let me see if I can make it a little realer for you. I was in the 5th grade, and my teacher heard me read. I'm like, and she said, stop. That was level 20. I had to go home and tell my mother they had moved me down to level 18. My mother said, son, no matter what group they put you in, always do your best. You can do it. So I struggled through middle school. I get through middle school. I go to high school, junior high, and I go to high school. Just an average student. First semester of high school, I get the course book. Back in the day, course books, not those printouts sheets y'all get now. Course book. It was red, like the Delta. It's right, red right here, course book. Or fancy, whatever, all right? With D's and F's. I failed algebra the first semester. The first semester of algebra, I failed it in high school. Second semester, they said, listen, man, you can't take the second semester if you failed the first, so we're going to put you back in the first semester. Failed it again. My mom said, son, you can do it. Second year, sophomore year, they put me in the first semester of algebra again. I passed it this time. I got a C. I used to tell people, it's because by that time, I had memorized the book. But the truth is, I had Miss Flores, and Miss Flores would always say, May, I'm going to call you mom. May, where your homework at? May, stop talking. I'm going to call you mom. Right? She had expectations that I learned, and it pushed me. Right? So I struggled on through,